Welcome to No Gods, No Master Volumes, a podcast by two pedal nerds talking about pedals, sometimes with other pedal nerds. I'm Simon, I'm a record producer, musician, and I make pedal demos as Tunnel of Reverb.
And I'm Gwion. I build pedals as Holy Island Audio, a one-man effects pedal company from Cardiff in Wales.
This episode, we're joined by Wooly of Champion Leccy. You know Wooly's pedals when you see them. His art style is unique and playful, which perfectly reflects his approach to designing circuits. We talked to Wooly about his time in China, the start of Champion Leccy, and what's coming up in the future.
Skitter!
Skitter!
So the other day, we did like a little mini tour, played like DC and Baltimore, and stayed at like a hotel in between. And when I went to check out, I had my card and said, "Are you checking out?" And I went, "Aye." And she just looked at me as if I was going to finish that sentence. And I went, "Oh!"
Yeah, you what? That's too funny. When did you move to Philly, or when did you move to the States?
So, let's see. So I left the UK in 2010. Ended up working in China because there wasn't any jobs in Newcastle, and I had like a languages background, and there was some connection with my old high school and some stuff going on over there. So I ended up moving to China. From where I was in China, I ended up moving to Beijing and getting into music, and that's where I started building pedals, and that's where I met my wife, who's from Philly, and we ended up moving back 2016, a month to the day before Trump got in.
Oh, nice.
Crazy.
Nice little welcome gift.
Yeah.
That's when you started building then in China?
Yeah, all right. So you can see in the background, you see that desk in the background in all these units.
Yeah.
That's a Chinese factory desk.
Oh, perfect.
I started on because it was super cheap over there, and just like shipped it back with all our belongings. So like I've had that since, what year is it? 2014, I think it started. 2014, I think it was. So yeah, I've had that like the whole time.
Was that when you just sort of started dabbling in stuff, or was that when you set up proper?
Yeah, so I first started dabbling about, it would have been 2014. So I was like teaching, and I was a teacher trainer for like the Chinese teachers, and it was kind of easy. So when I got into it, and I got into it because I was playing in a band in Beijing, and there's the guitarist was a Scottish lad, and he used to come in with like pedals that he built, and I was like, "Oh, look at that! Oh, look at the shiny box." And then he was like, "Do you want to come round and drink some whiskey and build a guitar pedal?" And I was like, "I do, I." And then as soon as I sat down, I was like, "This is it. This is the thing that I want to do, like forever, just this." And I've quit drinking since, but I still build guitar pedals. Yeah, so because my job was like relatively easy, I just spent all day on the internet just going through everything, printing loads of stuff out, and it just absolutely consumed my life. And then when we came to move, it was just like, well, I either go back into education, get loads of debt, and just have all that, or just like try and do it as a business. And it's kind of, I wouldn't say succeeded, but it hasn't failed yet.
Oh, that's positive.
Yeah, British optimism there.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get much more optimistic, I guess. It's hard to shake that. Surely that's gonna dissolve away, isn't it? In the States, Simon, both of you sort of slowly just become chirpy, right?
I don't know.
No.
It's not yet.
No.
We're still from where we're from, aren't we?
I just dread going back.
Yeah. I haven't been back yet.
I'm going back in like 2 weeks actually. So I'm going to fill up on pies.
Oh yeah, there's some good reasons to go back. I miss good Indian food.
Oh, we have a really good Indian restaurant here. Really good.
Oh.
Everywhere I've had in America, the Indian food's been pretty bad. But this is like British standards of like a good.
Oh, wow.
And yeah,
nice. Yeah,
really good. Yeah.
I gotta come back to Philly. That's the reason. And the pie shop as well. I want to go to the pie shop.
Yeah, Philly's got great food.
Yeah, I really like food. That's like when I come see you. I guess it was last year now.
Yeah.
But ever since we got back, it's like we gotta go back. I just haven't got around to it yet. But
yeah, I'm coming to you next time we want it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the Chicago Pedal Fest.
Yeah.
That's gonna be real fun. It's gonna be, it's kind of rare, at least for me, to have like the majority of people I know come to my city. So it's gonna be nice. All right, so you started in China with the building, and what was your first like pedal that your like first design that you started working on for Champion Leccy?
So, oh man, it's so long ago. My memory's so bad. So I definitely started doing loads of crazy fuzz stuff because that's exactly what I wanted to do, is just like obnoxious oscillating fuzzes and everything. And so I started messing around with a Black Russian muff circuit for the most part, working out how to do stuff. And that became the Get and the Fat Get and the Bloody Get, just in various stages. And that's kind of part of where the Dunch, which is a pedal that I actually still make, comes from. I think the first totally unique design was the Fettle Boost. It's just like simple JFET, but it just sounds really nice. It's just one of those like, oh yeah, there you go. Don't need to do anything else. And yeah, finish that really quickly. And I'm bringing that back actually. It just sounds really nice. It's just like a nice little thing that's small and easy.
Yeah, and that's just like a one knobber, right?
It's 2 stages. It used to be like a high pass filter switch, and then like another switch to add in the second gain stage, and then volume and gain. The Divi was just the one knob.
Ah, yeah.
I'm bringing that back as well. But yeah, I've added a second knob because it's really loud, and so people are like, well, I wanted it to be like this, but now my amp's just blown up. So giving the option to turn the volume down, I think helps.
Oh, that's exciting. And I guess that's like, do you see, I guess I'm skipping ahead quite a lot here, but like with the Dunch Boost, is there like some heritage from those pedals in there, or was that completely different?
Yeah, so it gets confusing, right? And people rightfully get confused. So I started with the Black Russian off circuit, changed a bunch of stuff, like loads of stuff, but there's one bit that I messed around with the last gain stage. It's just one little thing, and I was like, oh, this sounds really good, and it just made it really messy and gnarly. And I was like, oh, can I do that again? And I called that the Dunch on the original Get. So just bear with me.
Okay.
So that one gain stage, that one transistor stage, I then took out and then put in the Canny Fettle Boost, RIP. May bring back. Oh man, this is getting so. And then
it's all coming back.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, I should do a pedal just around that sound. And I wanted to do some like Baxendale style EQ stuff and have like a range of stuff going on. And it just kind of came together where it's just that one transistor stage that does the Dunchy thing, and then it's got like an op amp in front to smash with loads more gain. Yeah, and then like a couple of op amps afterwards for like the EQ and all that. And then I just messed around with like the gating and the bias and stuff. Most of the stuff that's going on is just around that single transistor stage. So that single transistor stage, I suppose, is the Dunch in essence.
And that came out. Did that come out of the End of Days Fuzz challenge that you sent? Because I dropped the ball on that a while back. But I guess for the people listening, it might be worth just sort of explaining briefly what that was.
Yeah, so I dropped the ball several times with that and ended up not doing anything. There was someone who shall remain nameless who was a bit of a pest and hopped on about fuzz a lot. And I was like, I don't think you should be doing this. So I wanted an indirect challenge for this person to actually step up and do an actual like good fuzz. But I wanted it to be like a community thing, so everyone, like builders of all sizes, and just throw their hats in the ring and all that. And so yeah, I started on the End of Days first, and I've still got the idea sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I think I will end up doing at some point will actually be part of the Fat get a different part, not the dunch part.
yeah, following.
Yeah, I love this family tree. The family tree element is beautiful.
A different part of that, which actually came from the mid-fi random number generator.
Oh yeah,
like
classic.
years and years ago, I actually reached out to Doug and I was like, hey, so I've got a circuit that's kind of built on like putting two of these in parallel and messing with a bunch of stuff. Is it all right if I use that for a pedal to like sell? And he was like, yeah, no worries. I mean, if you're selling like hundreds of them, then maybe we can have word, but I only sell like a few of those. It's not a big deal. And I only ever built like as fewer than 50 of the Fat Get. And I thought it'd be fun to bring back a much in the style of like Doug and Midfi and all this DIY stuff, because he's done so much.
Yeah, all his stuff's always been so interesting as well, and such like nicely simple takes of stuff that is just like, why didn't I think of that? That's such a just good idea.
Yeah. So I wanted to like have this as like a big open, like, here's how I designed this pedal. And I was planning to do it this year, but when I was leading up to the Dunch launch, and the Dunch kind of split off from the End of Days design, and I was like, actually, this should be like a regular thing. So I was getting ready for that, and then I got ill twice. So I got like a really bad chest infection, and I can't remember what the other one was, but it knocked me out for like a couple of weeks each one. So then I lost so much time that I was scrambling towards the end, and then I hit like burnout and stuff. And in the Champion Leccy Discord, we did a music project, and so I was just like, I don't have time to get all this done and my End of Days fuzz. So like I've kind of abandoned that, but obviously there are people out there who've like done them, who I will like put up on the Instagram and like write about, and if they want to send me them, I'll play them and get them some
eyeballs
videos.
yeah,
just kind of get some eyes on whatever people are doing, because I don't want to waste other people's time. Waste my own time, that's fine. But so that's kind of where it's ended up. So the design that I've got is still there, and I still intend to do it at some point, and to write about it and say like, hey, this is how I go about designing a pedal. I've got this from here, I've got this from there. I mean, most of the time I don't really get things from places. I kind of like come up with an idea and then work out how to do that, and then everything else is kind of based on these blocks and how I can move them around and do them in an interesting, like sufficiently different and interesting ways.
Yeah, I think that seems to be like a recurring thing through the catalog of pedals that you've put out. It's like taking something that could be relatively conventional and kind of just looking at it from a different perspective. I think that seems to be the recurring theme through a lot of those, where it's, because when we were looking through your site earlier today, just writing up all my notes because I'm so well prepared with things like this, and I was just, there's just like things like the Kilter, where it was just nice, solid ideas that are just an interesting approach to looking at effects pedals, because you can definitely sort of stagnate, I think, using things in the same way repeatedly. Maybe is that something you're actively looking to do then? Is it, or?
I mean, I have a list here, which I'm not going to show you because it's still top secret. I've just like all these like different things that I need to like get on with. I used to find like in the early days, I'd come up with an idea and then Earthquake would just do it. And I'd be like,
yeah.
And now it's Old Blood Noise. I keep on like having this idea, and then they're like,
I remember you messaging me that. I remember putting a video out of something, and you were just like, "Oh my god!" I'm sure, that must happen to like both of you sometimes as well. Like,
yeah,
a great idea is a great idea.
I mean, there's a reason that another company comes up with it. It's because it's a good idea, isn't it? It can be super frustrating. What you might have put something out that they were watching from the other sides, and they've just had to scrap now. That's the dream. Yeah.
Actually, they got a Kilter. Maybe I sent them one. I can't remember.
Okay.
And then they actually had it on like the show, and oh man, who was it? I have such a bad memory. Oh, I think it might have been Joel from Chase Bliss. Was it? What's this? I've never heard of this company. This is quite interesting. It's like, wow.
Oh, awesome! Yeah.
Yeah,
that's rad.
If only it translated to sales.
Should get that on a t-shirt.
I feel like that's a common trend, I guess, with everything music, I guess. You're like, oh, that was really sick. Oh, I mean, it's sick, but hasn't translated.
Yeah.
I always found that with like radio play. I'd be like, oh yeah, we were like played on Radio 1 or whatever. And it's like, okay, back to normal now then.
Yeah. The never-ending anticlimax.
Good pedal name.
Oh, let me put that on my top secret board. I do actually have one as well, so I think it might be right next to me.
Oh man, I need to get a top secret board.
Yeah, come on, Simon.
I don't know what I'd put on it, but secrets. I'm interested to know about the Swan Hunter, because that was always one that like jumped out at me from your range. Like, where did the idea for that come from?
Oh man,
sorry, I'm asking you for more history.
I'm trying to remember. So I did the Woozy, and then I was like, oh, this is a great little LFO, and I did the skitter, and then after that, the idea was like, oh, if someone like the skitter and they have the dry and the reverb signal, what about if I just had this as effects loop so people could do whatever? And then after that, I think, yeah, that's right. So there was some ideas from the reverb on the skitter that I had to cut out to kind of make it fit in a smaller box.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if it kind of did this? And then I got into the idea of like ducking and gating. And then I got like it's really lo-fi, so it really like it's not smooth at all. Like it really like click between the two. And then I was like, oh, I have lots of PT2399, so I'll just throw an echo in there as well, doing the same thing. And then I also had like the idea, and this sounds really pretentious, but I also had the idea of like the concept of, and I really don't remember where this came from, but like the old shipbuilding industry in the Northeast, and the idea of like these ghosts just hovering over the Tyne, like that is like a sound, just this kind of like haunting thing. So with all of the feedback on the reverb and the echo, it just kind of hangs there. It's just really just like it's just kind of there a lot, and it's I think one's called Haunt and one's called Fog for the controls for the feedback. So it's just like there. So even when it ducks, you've got your reverb and your echo like ducking and coming out and all that. Like it's still like it's just a little bit just kind of there all the time.
When you're talking about those controls, like I've noticed, you go for less conventional names, maybe for knobs, which people get really weird about that for some reason. I don't understand why people complain about it. Do you get complaints about that?
Not directly, but I've seen a bunch of people be, oh, why don't you just call it this? It's like, well, because it does that and three other things, depending.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you want me to call it?
Yeah, this and this and this. Yeah. I mean, I think you interact with the knob differently when it's called. Do you know what I mean? It's there's a bit more mystery. It's like the way that tone could mean anything, but it's so often on every single pedal ever. It's kind of odd how definitely a guitarist thing to just latch onto a word like that and be like, right, that has to be it all the time. But I mean, it makes sense, and I think it fits into the aesthetic of the pedals as well, and that you've got like a really strong visual thing that really translates into the audio side as well. They sound like they look, which I think is really impressive. Yeah.
It's like, I think, I don't know, this is me being a bit wanky now, but like, I find those kind of control names much more musical as well. Like, I'm like, I want to turn up like backwash. Like, I want to hear that. Like, I want to like write a riff with like fucking Tide turned up or something. Like, I don't know. I'm into that stuff. I mean, obviously, I feel like half the people that complain about those are just people that don't like reading the manual as well.
Oh, 100%. I get the odd complaint about I've got a moisture knob on Tides, which I'd say I get one at least like once a month where someone makes some sort of comment about it. But I don't understand it makes more sense to me. It's introducing moisture. It's more wet. Yeah,
fancy wet knob.
Yeah, that's not going on a shirt.
I'm bleeping that out.
I was going to say there's a certain number of people who do not read the manual at all. And occasionally, and this goes back to like the names of the controls. So I have a second foot switch on the Swan Hunter, which in the manual it says like this will only work in this setting and this setting. It does two totally different things. But one needs to be in this setting, one needs to be in this setting, and otherwise it just makes a big pop sound. And people will send me a message being like, "So I think I just bought my Swan Hunter and it's like broken. Like the second foot switch just pops." And I'll say, "Have you read the manual?" And then I will receive no reply.
You never receive a reply to those.
Yeah.
RTFM.
Never happens. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the thing with the more fringe people who are building pedals, because there's like this. It's a product, but it's not like a shiny product where it's everything is absolutely like this does this and this does this. And it's very easy to understand because a lot of guitarists are very conservative. Like one of the jokes I make a lot is they're like, well, is it a Gibson or a Fender? Like, no, it's a third thing.
Yeah,
it's not a Gibson or a Fender. And it's just the idea, it's got to be this or that.
It's like there's this new drive. Is it a Tube Screamer? Is it a clone? Or is it a Rat?
Just What's it based on? What's it based on?
Yeah.
It's relentless.
Forever.
What's it? The 1981 pedal that people.
The DRV.
I mean, I've
the Rat,
heard
is it?
so many people go, it's just a Rat. It's just a Rat, isn't it? Just get a Rat.
Yeah.
Oh, they love that argument. Yeah.
Yeah. Just get your $20 Rat off Amazon. It's the same. That's so boring.
I mean, yeah, if you build pedals for weirdos, you are going to attract weirdos, though. That's what I keep telling myself.
Do you know what? I've not thought about that, but that's legit.
Yeah, thanks, man. Just a bit of philosophy from me there.
Yeah, guilty. I
was just going to say, on the topic of that sort of the aesthetic side of things, where does that art style come from?
So I draw in like a lot of kind of different styles and mess around with a bunch of stuff. The whole thing I realized descended from when I was like doing some doodles right at the start when I was trying to work out what to do, and I realized that I could like hand paint some enclosures. So I tried that out, and I did a doodle of a bald middle-aged guy sitting on the toilet reading a newspaper, just like looking over like that with his like hands around his ankles, which I just thought was really funny. And then I was thinking, I can't replicate this. I can't draw this out every single time because it's just gonna it's too difficult for me to get it like spot on. So I kind of deconstructed that for the fat cat. It's just like a pair of bare legs and then some underpants, and I had like a lightning flash in between, which is where the underpants.
Okay, yeah.
From. And then like the bare legs with like hairy legs of all different colors.
Yeah.
On there, and then when I did the bloody get, it became like a severed limb with the bone sticking out, which is kind of like
makes sense.
And I had like a couple of other characters, and I was just like looking at them, like, so I draw them out a bunch, and I was like, what would make them more interesting? And like, well, what if like little ghosts were coming out of like their noses and their ears? So I did that, and so that's where the little ghosts kind of came from, and the woozy art and that skull. He doesn't have a name. The skull guy, the Reaper guy. I did right when I was starting out. I had a bunch of like PCBs that were like modified clones and stuff, and I just did like a handful, like two or three big muffs, a couple of like Tube Screamers and whatever. And there was the what's it called? The blue Echo Blue, like PT2399. Well, that was the name of the PCB.
Oh, the Deep Blue.
Deep Blue, yeah.
Delay or
whatever,
something or other. Yeah.
And so like I just did that doodle, that guy like on the pedal, little guy.
Cool.
And then I was like, all right, and then I did like a couple more, and there's one where the guy repeated and some other stuff, and I took photographs. And when I came to do the woozy, I was like, oh well, this is a PT2399 setup, so I should go back to that. And I kind of found it, and I just like took a photograph of it and like did it on the computer, all fancy like. And then I just like copied him for a bunch of stuff. It was kind of, the whole thing was just by accident, really. I didn't have a plan.
That's really funny hearing that. Because like Well, now I'm just like thinking of all, even like you said about the legs being on the very early pedals, and then it's like Dunch covered in arms and legs.
Yeah.
It's like I love that. Like
It's constant. It's evolving, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I have no idea where it's going.
No. Yeah.
Can I introduce another character at this point? Or people be like, I don't like this.
No, I reckon.
Who's this new guy?
He's got to morph from something that's already in that palette of bits. I'm not sure exactly what I'm saying here, but yeah.
it's like the greater Champion Leccy universe. It's
Yeah.
gonna be 5-10 years. It's going to be that Marvel. I mean, it would lend itself real well to like
graphic novel
comic
would make
books
sense.
I've definitely thought about it. And like Bram's done a great job of putting in some craziness in his videos.
Absolutely. Shout out Pedalscopic Sounds. The way he does, especially like his demos for your pedals are just crazy.
That seems like a perfect match, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. Put so much work in. There's so many little references to things like some of my bands and stuff in there. Like, put some work in.
Oh yeah. I don't know how I've talked to him about it before, but like it must take so much concentration to stay on topic with that. Like I find it hard to do like anything like that. But the way he like sees those through and puts out these incredible finished, like basically like short films, just like it's awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, you were talking about your Discord page earlier, or the Discord server, right, Simon?
Yeah, server.
Thanks, son.
Good job.
Yeah. Do you find that like that's I see it happening more and more with pedal brands or smaller brands, at least, with social media kind of crushing the soul out of any platform that seems to exist, gets throttled by paywalls, and whoever pays the most gets seen. Do you find that Discord sort of builds that community back up again so people can actually see what you're doing? Is that?
I think it's one of those. Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why I started, because it was like, well, there's this place that can be like an active forum all the time, and because Instagram is just a mess now, or has been for a while.
Yeah.
Really. I was like, I need something else. I mean, I've got a decent sized mailing list, but it's always difficult to tell exactly, because I used to do some DIY articles on the website, and I thought no one read them at all. Like over the years, because I just stopped. I was like, no one cares about this. And then like over the years, like a couple of people be like, oh yeah, no, I read some of those. It was really good. It really helped. And not that it's good, but having more out there to kind of just help people get on. It's always useful. But yeah, I just kind of went, whatever. And it's always difficult to know who's in the Discord, who's reading stuff but doesn't feel like commenting. Because I'm in a bunch of Discords and I just don't bother saying anything. But there's useful information there. You kind of get to know people, but I feel like I'm not going to add anything because I'm just lazy. So yeah, I think it's great. And we had, like I said, that music project, which was fantastic. It was really cool, and I wasn't expecting anything like that, but everything was great. And we had like a little watch party on YouTube.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and it was like, I can't wait to do this again.
It's kind of like old school internet stuff. Like I felt like forums were like that for a long time, and then it just sort of fizzled out. But I feel like that's the next place for that sort of activity. I think it's nice as well that people can have a sort of direct communication with the person building the stuff that they're playing. It's kind of a unique time for that sort of interaction. It is pretty wild. Yeah,
and so like most of the stuff is just like general chat or whatever silliness. But I will have a bit where it's just like, here's what I'm doing, or here's the art for the new one, or stuff, and people can just drop in and ask any questions, or just kind of see a little bit of what's going on, just at their leisure. So that's pretty cool.
It's a nice community as well. Like and I know you have the whole section as well about like helping people with their DIY builds and helping people learn. Like obviously, like similar to what you said, like I'm in there, I've read it, but I'm like, I have nothing to add about this. But it's always cool to see like that aspect of it too.
And I try to really encourage people to share stuff that they're doing. So like DIY projects, it's like just come and get some help or like their music. Because like that's at the end of the day, that's why everyone's buying guitar pedals. Unless it's someone who just has this weird collection of pedals and then no amps or guitars in the house, or I don't know. But we're here to do music, so like getting people to share whatever they've been doing.
It's an awesome space for that. How's everything going with your band? I know you said you've just been on tour, and you put out a record. Was it earlier this year or late last year? I'm struggling to remember.
It was last year. I think it was like October.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone pretty well. It's going really well. And we've got like a little 30-second song that is for a compilation, and I can't remember the name of the compilation, but I think it's something like short music for short people. Something like that. Anyway, everyone had to do like a 30-second song. So we wrote like a little 30-second surfy jam, which is really fast. So when we wrote it, we're like, oh, we need to play this like at least like 200 BPM, and I think the recording actually turned out to be 220.
Oh my god!
When we came to play it. So we had a couple of seconds to spare on that one.
Jeez, got Slayer over here.
Yeah, 220 Surf Slayer.
Yeah.
You self-record that, right, in your studio?
So now we recorded that one. I think it was Landmine Studios in New Jersey, and then I mixed and mastered. Fingers mastered it. Mm-hmm. And then with the little 30-second one as well, there was a studio somewhere in Philly that we just went to record it. And the guy who's recording this was British, right? Apart from when we first went in, he was American, and then he heard my accent and he went back to the British accent.
Oh wow!
So this has happened to me twice. Someone has the first time it was in a Wawa, and someone I held the door open for someone, and he was like, "Thanks." I was like, "No bother, you're right," or something like that. And then he started talking to me, and he was like, "Oh, you're from England?" And then slowly he became like a southerner, and he was like, "I'm from England as well."
Wow, that's crazy.
What? What? Is that just because it's easier to understand? Is it?
I think it's just like your ear tunes in to what's going on. And some people end up like copying what's around them. Weak-willed people.
Yeah, weak-willed. Jesus. Yeah.
No heritage.
I mean, I guess Geordie is harder to dilute in it.
Aye. Although, when I went to university, people didn't understand what I was saying. Like back in the UK.
Oh, really?
So I ended up, I ended up like having to like tone it down a bit. So
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. Also for teaching in China, I'd be like,
oh wow,
make sure I talked more properly.
I don't know about you, but like I've had it more often than I would have thought here, where people don't understand me, and they're like totally not understand what I'm saying, and I'm like, I don't feel like I have a very thick accent in any way, but I don't know if it's just because I'm so like stuck to using my English pronunciation and stuff. But like I was like, how do you not understand me?
There's been 2 times where I've ordered food in a restaurant and then waited like 20 minutes. Everyone's got their food, and I go, "Excuse me, where's my whatever it is?" I just go, "Oh, I don't think you ordered that." I'm like, "No, I did. I absolutely did order this thing. I remember distinctly because that's what I want to eat." And they just misheard it or didn't hear it and didn't think to ask, like, "Sorry, what did you say?" They just like go, "Okay," because it was less embarrassing for them at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
That's such a wild approach to just scrap the order completely. I'm gonna start doing that if I mishear people. Yeah.
I used to, before I like quit drinking, I would be in bars a lot, and I'd just, like you say, I'd just get completely the wrong drink. Another time I didn't really care about that, but like it was always just funny. I was just like, this is crazy. It's wild. It's a real experience moving to America.
I found that my accent would get stronger when I get angry or when I got drunk. And so there was a time when during the pandemic, like, and everyone was like, we don't know what's going on. Everyone was very scared. And I was at the dollar store, and there's a guy who, like, I think he might have had a little bit to drink, and he was like standing right next to us, wasn't wearing a mask, and he was like shouting and stuff. And I got so angry with him because it's like, just get 6 foot away. And I started shouting at him. I got really Geordie, and he had no idea what I was saying. and he was just like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Can't argue back if you don't understand. Yeah.
It's like, I think I've lost this one. Yeah.
We should ask you about the hot sauce.
Yeah, I was going to say we need to get to the most important question.
Yes. Yeah. So that's by a person in somewhere New Jersey. That place, New Jersey, called Luke, who is in a band called. Oh, I gotta get this right. I think it's. Oh, that might not be the right name, and I'm gonna hate myself if that's the wrong name, because there's two bands that I know which have in the name. I think
we can bleep it out. Simon, do an overdub.
Yeah. I'll just censor it.
Censor it. Yeah. That's the easiest way.
They're called Luke, and they're just a hot sauce genius. They've done hot sauces for like a bunch of like local pedal companies and bands. We have one for our band as well. That's like mango chipotle, and one I got for Champion Leccy is based on like a ponzu kind of thing. So I was like, I like ponzu. Do you reckon you can make hot sauce? And they were like, yeah, I can do that. And it's really good.
Dude, it is so good.
Gone through like 5 bottles myself.
I need to get some more actually. I pretty much wrapped mine up now. I've got to put in another. Do you still have them in stock on the store?
Yeah, I've still got. I think I've got about 10 left.
Oh dang!
I've had to really. I'm not joking. I've had to really stop myself because they're just there.
So you just go through them.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really trying to not just eat all of my own profits.
Literally.
Yeah.
Do you think you would do it? Like, would you do it again? Do you think? Like, would you do hot sauce for another pedal?
Yes.
I feel like I knew the answer to that already. But yeah, I really like that, and I like it with bands as well. Like changing up the way that people do merch, I think is just been the greatest thing in the last few years. Like rather than just like the same old like spread of like black Gildan shirts or whatever, like having some interesting stuff for people that have too many t-shirts or people that don't want t-shirts, you know, like having stuff like hot sauces and all other various merch items. I don't know, it's just so much more interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm constantly like trying to find stuff for my bands that I can think of to do.
Yeah.
Well, get a hot sauce. We sell loads of hot sauces with our band. We run a second batch with party now.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's perfect after a show as well, isn't it? Like, pick up some hot sauce, go and get some chips. Yeah.
Shots.
Yeah. Wait, shots of hot sauce? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For that vocal sound. So you mentioned about the pedals that are coming back, but what is next officially for Champion Leccy?
Okay, so about
what can you tell us?
Well, what I can tell you is was always useless. So late last year, I was chatting with the guitar knobs, and I was like, so my next pedal is definitely going to be the Forgetter, because I've had this great idea for a modulated echo. And then that's not. And then they do it next. And I've got some other stuff, and it's actually going to come next year, because Andon from Lantern Manufacturing gave me some excellent information. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I need to use this. So I had to kind of go back to the drawing board with that. So I'm reissuing the Divi and the Fettle Boost next. After that is the Skitsy, which is exactly not exactly, it's kind of pretty much what it sounds like. It's part Skitter, part woozy, and it's a modulated reverb. So you've got your dry signal, as you'd expect, and you've got the reverb, which is set up exactly the same as the reverb on the Skitter in terms of the EQ and everything. And then afterwards, you've got what will be the trem verb, which is basically going to be like a tremolo, like a volume modulation. And then the second one is going to be pitched, like it's going through the PT2399 in exactly the same way as it does on the woozy, or your dry signal would. So the idea was initially to do the Dunch and the Skitsy at the same time, to do that kind of shoegazy big ball of sound, and then you always have these plans and then nothing ever works. So that's going to be the idea, is that it's like a massive crazy wash of like modulated
sick
reverb. So I've got everything set out. Unfortunately, this is one I don't have any art for. I've got art for like several pedals that are somewhere in the future, but this one I'm just like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
I mean, sure, it's going to grow itself from the existing artwork, right? That seems
yeah.
to be the process.
I think so, yeah.
It'll just evolve.
Yeah.
Wouldn't worry about it.
What would Marvel do? And I asked myself. That's exciting. That's right up my street. And sounds like you say, like perfect pairing for the Dunch as well.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like with the reissues and the Dunch, it's kind of year of the dirt then for Champion Leccy.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be. And I always felt like a bit of a bully for not having anything out for a year and a half after the Swan Hunter and then going, he's a dirt pedal. Oh, yeah, I forgot you did that. Not what I was expecting at all. And then being like, here's 2 more dirt pedals. Yeah, I promise, like, I haven't run out of ideas or anything. I'm just...
Well, it sounds like you're just working through the giant list of ideas, pretty much. Like
working through a lot of things.
Yeah.
I know the feeling. I was using the Dunch actually. This sounds made up, but it's literally true. Yesterday, I was using the Dunch on a record, and I did my demo for it, and then I lent it to a friend to try for like a month, and I got it back, and I got it out on this session. We were using it on guitars, and I forgot how like crazy useful the EQ on it is. Like I dialed in the dirt, I was like, this sounds great. And I was like, I'm just going to throw like, a little bit of top. And the way the way the toggle interacts with it is so cool. Like, I don't know. It's just so useful to have.
So for that top shelf, I purposefully put the high setting pretty high. So it's more like a presence control. Mm-hmm. And then like moving it down so it's more like kind of, boosting a bit more top end and then everything but the bottom end. So actually, one of the things that I still haven't got around to doing is doing an article about how it works. If you think about it, you've got your top shelf, and if you boost the top shelf, top end is louder and your bottom end is quieter. And if you think about the bottom shelf, if you turn that down, it's doing the same thing, right? It's just bringing something down rather than bringing something up. Now, the frequency points that are on the high, middle, and low switches are all different for the top and the bottom shelf. So between the two, you actually get all these different like shelving like options. So all you need to do is just compensate with the volume. So if you're like dialing down at bottom shelf, you just turn the volume up and it's just at a different frequency point than if you pushed the top shelf on one of those settings. I've got like all these graphics for this stuff and I just haven't managed to like everything because there's hundreds of options.
That's the thing, like it's a very like versatile pedal. Like even, and you can say like, oh, it's got EQ, it's got gate, it's got bias. So like, it's versatile. But then you, like you say, you get into the like nuts and bolts of it and the way you can combine all those things, and it's just like limitless.
Yeah.
So I suppose I can do another exclusive piece of information that will probably not happen as soon as I say it. But what I'm planning to do is with the architecture of the Dunch, that EQ, I'm going to do a version of that with the Fettle boost, which will be the new Canny Fettle.
Cool.
Next year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what the control is going to be, but it will have the bottom and top shelf in the 3 EQ settings. And one pedal will be the FET side, the JFET side, and one pedal will be the other transistor side. So it'll be 2 independent main stages. Because on the Dunch, it's basically like bypass and then it kicks up or whatever with the Dunch. But it's it's on and then louder. And this will be like 2 on-off pedals in series.
Sick.
That's awesome.
That'd be nice. Yeah, nice stacking options there.
Yeah.
That's sick. World exclusive as well.
Yeah, world exclusive. Come on, stop the press.
Sick. I mean, I feel like this is a good place to wrap up. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, it's awesome. And it's great to delve. I really like these for just like finding out more information about the history, your thought process and stuff. It's been really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah,
thanks. Nice.
Where can everyone find you? Where can we find the Discord? I mean, I'm in it, but where can everyone else find it?
So, on Instagram, it's just at Champion Leccy. Champion is spelled exactly like you would think, and Leccy is Leccy. And then the website is just championleccy.com. And there's links at the top for the Discord and newsletter, I think.